Good morning. Today is Thursday. Happy Thrive and Shine Thursday, January 27th at about 7:17. So just wanted to come on real quick and share. So this morning, as I'm getting ready for work and in my spirit, I'm laying before the Lord, speaking to Him about some things, asking for clarity and confirmation on, a few things. And something was dropped in my spirit, which was kind of profound if you look at it this way. It was about relationships. And I was going, he was taking me through how many of us go into relationships, and in the midst of those relationships, we experience hurt and so much other things. We experience trauma. We experience not being a good fit for one another. And he began to reveal to me, he was like, a relationship is a two-edged sword. Either way, being in a relationship, everyone is on defense. Someone is going to get cut. Someone is going to be bruised. Someone is going to get hurt. Someone is going to feel the affliction of the other blow. And so as I began to really just think about this thing and focus and concentrate on what the Spirit was telling me, excuse me, I'm trying to get some type of light in my room. But he began to show me how in a relationship, especially if it's a new relationship, we go into that relationship being open, being free, being transparent, being vulnerable. But throughout times, as we get into that relationship and we begin to fall in love with that person, and we begin to invest time and commit ourselves to that person, we begin to experience the ups and downs of that relationship. And there will be times where in that relationship, expectations will be let down, hopes and dreams will be shattered and crushed. And throughout that relationship, the longer we stay in it, that relationship that is possibly toxic, not healthy, just not a good fit for you and that person, or maybe you both have outgrown one another. So you go into that relationship, and throughout times, things happen. And as things happen, arguments begin to ensue, disagreements and grudges. And he was saying how each time something unpleasant occurs within a relationship, we begin to put on a protective garment. And he began to show me the garment of the swords fighters when they're in dual battle. You have the white suit on with the mask, and you have on all your protective gear. But he began to break it down to me and said, in a relationship, you all are going to step on one another's toes. And during that time, if you step on the toes too many times, that person or you, they're going to put on the protection guard for their feet. So if you step on their feet, they won't feel the blows or the effects of it. Throughout time, if you continue to stay together, other things are going to happen. That person may say something to, or think of it like you're in a sword battle, okay? And as that person jabs at you within the body part, if you get hit so many times, and he's like, relationships are like that. A person, or you will jab and jab and jab at a person, and if you continue to jab each other, you're going to bleed. You're going to well, you get tired of, put it this way, you get tired of being jabbed at, you're going to put on the breastplate and anything that protects that area where that person, when they jab, can no longer affect you. And so throughout time, once again, all the areas that are unprotected, eventually you end up protecting, you're putting on the breastplate or the the shield to protect your heart. And then throughout that whole battle, like all of your body is protected except for your head. You're still your head area is still unprotected. And after a while in that relationship, once you're tired, you're weary of going through, you're going to put on that head shield to protect your mind, especially if a person is continuing to verbally abuse you, and you're just going through mentally in that situation. You're going to, after a while, want to be protected and not feel it. You're not going to want to feel it with your emotions. You're not going to want to feel it in your mind or any of that. So you begin to, once again, throughout the process and time, eventually put on the whole attire, the environment. So when you're in a fight and you're dueling and you're jabbing and you're sticking one another, you won't be able to feel it any longer. And he began to show me, he's like, when we're first in relationships and things, the first blow is like that, the hard edged swords that, that back in the day they had. And then when that person get cut, once again, they're going to bleed. And you got to realize it takes time to heal. It takes time to mend. But during that time, if you're not taking care of that wound, it's becoming infected. And if you don't heal and you don't clean it and purge it and forgive, once again, it's going to infect the entire body. And then after a while, we think that putting on protective gear is healing, and it's not. And so we'll put on protective gear instead of heal. And when we put on protective gear, the pains become lessened. And he began to show me how we go from a sword to the blows that feel first like a sword is you're being stabbed with a sword. Then as you put on protective gear, the sword begins to feel like more of a knife. So you feel it, but you don't feel the full impact. You feel the little pinch of it, but you don't feel it completely. Then he took me from a knife to a little flimsy sword, almost like what you see in the battles, but it's flimsier. So when a person stabs or punches at you, you don't even feel the effect anymore. Why? Because you put on that whole armor. You're like, that may be good, but no. What happened to the vulnerability? And during that time, you're not healing. And during that time, you put on this mask, and now you can't even see what's going on. You can't even think straight, because now you're all up in your mind. You're all up in your feelings. You're all up in your emotions. And so you're not healing. And he began to just show me that. And the way it was broken down in my mind and in my spirit, I was like, wow, you never think about that. But then it's like, once you get out of that relationship, you will keep on that garment. Now, you may take off the head protection because you want to be able to see what's coming at you next, and you also want that other person to see a portion of you. They don't get to see the entirety of you because of past experiences, traumas, and relationships. And so we go from one relationship having on all of this gear, but still not allowing people that next relationship to experience the authentic us, the authentic me, as I would say. We go into that relationship holding on to those past experience, past trauma, what that person did, what you did, not being able to trust that other people, not being able to trust yourself in a relationship, and we begin to hide. And once again, we're hiding behind all of this protective gear. Now, once again, we'll take off certain portions of it, like the head gear, so that we can see, and that a person can partially see into us. Because we got to realize, when they have on that headgear, there's a mesh, so you can't see fully, you can't see clearly. And sometimes some of us even leave that on, not even seeing what's truly before us or what God has for us, and who's truly standing before us. And after a while, that protective gear becomes more of a hindrance to your next or following relationship or the current relationship. So basically, coming into my 10-minute mark, what we want to do is, instead of putting on protective gear, we need to heal. We need to find ways to discuss, talk about, heal, and forgive so that we can move forward, not being weighed down by protective gear or equipment, not being limited by the protective garments and equipment, but yet we want to go into our next relationship. We want to go into that next moment, even if you're deciding just to have a relationship with the reevaluate and rejuvenate that relationship with you and that relationship with God and that or that relationship with someone else. You want to go into those relationships being totally free, being totally open, being totally honest, being totally vulnerable so that there will be clarity, so that there will be healing, so you can move to your next mark and level. So cutting it off right now at the 11-minute mark. There's more to come. I'm hoping I'll be able to write some of this down and really explore and dive deeper into this. So peace and blessings. Have a wonderful and great day.